Dear supporters of justice and peace on earth, we need a department of peace building or peacemaking to go along with the Department of War making and the State Department. In a way, the State Department itself should be a department of peacemaking, of course, and it is. But in addition, there could be a second branch, a Department of Peace Building. And actually, it was already created by Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii. But then the military-industrial complex lobbyists cut it down to just an institute that is on M Street, I think, in Washington. And they do have programs, and they're a wonderful thing. But that should be re-expanded to Daniel Inouye's original intent in a bipartisan manner by Republicans who have awoken and Democrats. And it should be, for example, this whole catastrophe, both in Iraq and in Afghanistan, that Cheney and the military-industrial complex use the happy-go-lucky playboy George W. to do, we could have been avoided if we had a really strong peace-building department, because they would have gone in and they would have found out what is the problem with who, and they would have really undone the damage done by Britain. All of those two things are British blowback. They have to do in Iraq, they have to do with making Iraq a country out of Shiites, Sunni Muslims, Shiite Muslims, and Kurdish Muslims, who are tribally completely different people. They have their sub-tribes within them. They have no business being in one country together. Baghdad should be an international city, when they could have zones in there, and then they have complete freedom for their own wells and oil and stuff in other places. And the Sunni part of Iraq would be connected to Saudi Arabia and Jordan. And they would be powerful. They'd have their own oil there, and the Shiites have their own oil down in Basra, and they're connected to Iran anyway. And the Kurds have their own oil in both Turkey and Syria, and they should be their own country. This is all done by British, because colonial people put different tribes together who would always make trouble in the same kind of administration or structure, so that the colonialists could come and pretend to make peace between them and suppress all of them, actually. That's the strategy. Similarly, the disaster in Afghanistan is simply part of the disaster of splitting India into Hindu India and Pakistan, pure land, pure Muslim Pakistan, and the horrible division that occurred. 1 million people died or killed in horrible riots of the splitting, and that was a British thing they inflicted on them. They were sour grapes leaving, because they loved to be in India because it's much more jolly than England, and they hated leaving, so they left that wound in India, where before that Muslims and Hindus had their problems, but they got along, and the Muslims in India were much less fanatical than any Wahhabi Arabian Saudi people, much less. They were more mild and moderate, and etc. They were way past conquering their friends, the Hindus, and vice versa too. Some they occasionally had, but not like now. Not like it has been since independence. So Afghanistan, the Taliban are the Pakistanis. It's Pakistani use of terrorism, because they're a failed state just run by the military, because they can't match India, and they don't want to have fun like India. They don't allow it. They imprison their women, and they get their mosques from Saudi donations, which come along with Wahhabi preachers that turn them into more fanatic people. And we used that. We got just tangled up in that stupidly, always running in behind these French in Indonesia and the British in India and Afghanistan. And what we really, if we had a peace building, they would know this, and they would listen to scholars who would tell them this, who know the history, which the War Department never listens to when they control the central government, their lobbyists and the corporations behind them, because they want to sell weapons. And they made a fortune out of Iraq and Afghanistan, and all the death and destruction and the complete shattering of America's reputation as trying to do something decent. They made a fortune out of Vietnam, which was a catastrophe and terrible for our reputation, you know. And so So the peace building department would explain the story of how to solve the problem and really carefully work diplomatically to really make friends out of it, undo the separation, let Indo-Pakistan become one country back again, along with Bangladesh, and then deal with the Muslim-Hindu equality in a sense. And the Sikhs, the Punjab, which was the land of the Sikhs, will be the key people to help do that. And they have a foundational peace idea, not a military one. But they also can defend themselves. They're very good in that. So we really need to stop blundering as if we were some tail end lashing of the tail of the stupid British lion crocodile, and getting ourselves in this kind of trouble in the world when we were the original people rebelling against them and wanting freedom. And they don't hate our freedom. Nobody hates everybody wants our freedom. So we should be delivering that, and we shouldn't be joining in this and that kind of oppressor. And a Department of Peace building will recognize, and it will reinforce, and it will develop lobbying power behind not making money out of war, but making money out of peace, more entertainment, more beauty, more art, more creativity, more education. That's what they will offer to all these people and countries. And sharing our freedom without invading them by only what the great Indian Emperor Ashoka called Dharma Vijaya, conquest by truth, conquest by teaching, conquest by freedom. That's what we do. Never conquest by sword, because that just makes blowback. Okay? So that's it. Thank you.